Have you ever been asked to deliver a speech, give a presentation, or maybe even attend a networking event? And the second that somebody asks you to do it, all of a sudden your heart starts to race, your mouth goes dry, you start to feel the wave of nervous energy moving through your body. It feels like your heart's trying to beat its way out of your chest. If that's you, then fear not, because in this video I've got some really cool tips that are going to help you deal with public speaking nerves. So let's get into it. So Mark Twain once said there are two types of speakers. There are those who get nervous, and then there are those that lie. And I think it's a great quote, because even myself, as a professional speaker, I still get this feeling inside my tummy before I'm about to walk up onto the stage. And this feeling, it used to be nerves. It used to be something that held me back, but now I see this as an energy that's going to drive me forwards. What's really interesting is that the way that our body reacts when we're nervous is exactly the same as it responds when we are excited. It's just that we label it differently inside our mind. So the physiology of nervousness and excitement are exactly the same thing. We just need to be aware of what our mind is telling us. Now, before I got into the world of speaking and entertaining, I worked as a roving magician. So I'd have to go from table to table, introduce myself and do a bit of magic. Now, in the early stages of my magic career, I used to get really nervous approaching a table. Everything in my mind was trying to hold me back. I would procrastinate before I walked up to that first table. All these excuses started coming up in my mind. Oh, I need to shuffle the cards a bit more. I need to check my pockets again. I need another drink of water because my mouth's gone dry. Oh, I need to go to the bathroom again. Oh, they're busy eating. They don't want me to interrupt them. But all that was really going on here was my mind was holding me back. And until I created a plan, I suppose a strategy, in order for me to overcome this procrastination and start to move forwards rather than being held back, I constantly had this feeling of nervousness approaching the table. So I'm going to share with you some ideas. These are tools that I have used in my journey to becoming confident when it comes to speaking in front of a group of people, and I'm sure that you're going to find them really helpful. So we're going to split this into two sections. One section is going to be little tricks or exercises that you can do before you go up to give a presentation or attend a networking event. These are little tips and tricks and tools that you can use to boost your confidence before walking out. And then I'm also got the second section is then going to be around tools that you can use in the moment. So while you're giving a presentation, tools that you can use to help you maintain a sense of calmness, even if inside you are starting to feel in turmoil as to this nervousness about being up in front of a room full of people. So the pre-show stuff, three ideas that are really simple that are going to help you beat those public speaking nerves. The first one is to make yourself big. One big mistake that I see a lot of people that are about to give a presentation make, that is that they will grab their phone. Let me grab my phone a second. So they'll grab their phone, and before they get up to do a presentation, they'll be there scrolling through their phone, looking at Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever it is that they're looking at. But if you look at my posture here, I've made myself really small. My head is down. I'm looking down at my phone, and if you were to take the phone away, this position here is a position of somebody who is not feeling too good about themselves. And this is a thing. Our mind and body are connected. The way that we use our body affects how we feel. But we can also change the way that we feel by changing our body. So if you're spending the first few minutes like this, in this position here, scrolling down, looking at your phone, you're going to start to make yourself feel less confident, because this is a low confidence pose. So for a couple of minutes before you give a presentation, you want to be standing as tall as you can, taking up as much space. Imagine that you are a superhero and you've got a cape on. If you adopt this position for a couple of minutes before you walk up on stage, it is going to make you feel more confident before you walk out. Now, one thing that I used to do backstage when I was on the cruise ships was I would take up space by holding my arms out to my side. I would make myself as big as possible to really start to build in that confidence. On the cruise ship, I've got a huge audience. I'm in a theater, so I need to be larger than life when I walk out on stage. So I would take up as much space as possible. But just spending a couple of minutes making yourself bigger, shoulders back, standing tall, chin up, looking forwards, that's going to help you feel more confident before you walk out to deliver your presentation, give your speech, or even walk up to somebody at a networking event. Now, the second thing that we can do prior to giving a presentation or doing a speech is to shake out any nervous energy. When I used to do the magic and I used to ask somebody to pick a card, when I used to get nervous, my hands used to shake. And when I was saying pick a card, what would end up happening was I'd have this fan of cards and the cards would start shaking. And because it was a fan, it would amplify the action of me shaking. And the more I focused on the shaking, the more the shaking got. So what I did was out of sight, so I didn't want to do this where people could see me, but I would shake out the nervous energy. So I would actually be backstage and I'd be shaking the fingers out, because the shaking of the hands is just nervous energy that wants to come out. So I would find myself a nice clear little space and I'd just jump up and down, shake the hands out, shake the arms out, I'd shake the whole body. But it's another really cool little tool that you can use to help you feel more confident before you walk out on stage. Now, the third tip that we can use, and again, this is prior to walking out, prior to giving your presentation, is a simple breath technique. And this is a breath technique that's going to help you feel calm. Andrew Huberman, I've heard him talking about this a lot on his podcast. It's something that I've been using for a number of years. And it's a double sniff in followed by a long exhale. So it's as you breathe out, you almost just imagine that your shoulders are relaxing. This is a really good way to release stress. Andrew Huberman has done some great research on this. I highly recommend that you check out one of his podcasts if you want to know a bit more of the science behind it. But trust me when I say that this simple technique of is really, really powerful. Okay, so we're now going to move into a few of the techniques that you can use when you are delivering your presentation, or when you're stood up in front of a group of people, or when you are in that networking environment and you're walking up to somebody and you're about to say hello to them. So tip number one is to soften your gaze. As I've said already in this video, the way that we use our body affects the way that we feel. Generally, when we are in a fearful state, our eyes will start to go into this intense stare. We'll be looking around. Our eyes will be darting everywhere. We're trying to assess what the dangers are around us. So by just softening your eyes, now this doesn't mean sort of walk out like you're high or anything, but just softening your gaze, and as you walk out, make eye contact with people in the audience, but with a nice soft gaze. This softening of the gaze is going to make you feel more relaxed. The second tip that we can use in the moment when we're in front of people is to remember to breathe slower. When I do speaker training, one of the things that I see come up time and time again, especially with people that are really nervous, is as soon as they walk out, they're breathing really fast and they speak really, 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 really fast because they're trying to get all the words out and they actually never take a breath. By just remembering to breathe and breathe slower as you're talking. Now, for you on stage or in front of a group of people, it might feel like time is going so slow when you start to breathe slow. It might feel like there's these really awkward gaps. I can assure you that for the audience, this is just normal time. So just slow your breathing down. It will affect how you feel. It's going to make you feel more confident in the moment, and it's going to allow you to maintain your composure. Now, the third little tool or technique that we can employ when it comes to being in front of a group of people, and this links back to the second one of breathing slower, and that is to speak slower. It's simple. It sounds simple, but when you're nervous, you'll have a tendency to race. And if you've ever had that situation where you find that your brain and your mouth, they go out of sync, that is because you are speaking too fast. You're speaking too fast for your own brain and you can't keep up. Now, don't get me wrong. There'll be presentations and shows that I do where I will speak really fast. And in this video, there's been times where I've probably spoken really fast, but I use that as a tool to create a different feeling as you're watching or as you're listening to me. But if you're feeling nervous about being up in front of a group of people, then just try and slow your rate of talking down so that you feel more confident in the words that you're saying. So I guarantee if you feel more confident about the words that you're saying, then your audience, your listeners, they're also going to feel more confident about the words that you're saying. So the final tool that I'm going to share with you in this video for when you are in front of a group of people is to just nail that first line. Rehearse that first line really well and deliver that first line with absolute confidence. One of the things I found when I used to be backstage, especially on the cruise ships, a lot of my stage time was refined and it was honed in working on the stages on cruise ships. I found that if I could get that first line out, I would then feel at ease. So I always had that first line rehearsed really well in my head, exactly how I would walk out with that soft gaze, breathing nice and slowly. And as I walked out, that first line, I would deliver that first line on the out breath. So it wouldn't be that I'd walk out, then have to take a breath in and then deliver the line. I would walk out, soft gaze. I would have taken a big breath in before I walked out on stage. And as I deliver that first line, it'd be, ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the show, or whatever that first line was. And by just being able to nail that first line, it's almost like you can breathe a sigh of relief and then get on with the rest of the presentation or the rest of the show, whatever it is. So look, I hope that these tips have been really helpful for you. Which one has been your favorite? Leave it in the comment section below, but keep your eye out for the next video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, then make sure that you do. And also hit that notification bell so that you hear whenever videos are released. But I'll see you in the next video.